Hey everyone, welcome back to CryptoCache. Thank you very much for joining me here. Hope you're having a great day. Let's take a quick look here at Solana, see what's going on. Please hit the like button before we get started, and if you want to become a better trader, CryptoCache.tech is a site, link down below. What we want to look at here is this pullback, obviously, see how further, how much further down it's going to go. Solana was looking super strong yesterday. We had that ETF staking, news that came out. Things just pumped like crazy. And at this point, late longs are getting absolutely hammered. So as I mentioned yesterday, don't be a late long, and it was too early to short. Now hindsight's 2020, shorting at that 156 to 160 range would have been a good idea, but we never truly know, and it was high risk. So we basically limit our risk by removing potential scenarios where we're not quite sure what's going to happen. Either way you look at it here, what is certain is that we're going to probably continue a little bit lower concurrent with Bitcoin. Bitcoin does seem like it wants to continue to correct itself down as low as that 104 to 105K range. Now we'll take a look at that as well, but if you didn't catch my Bitcoin analysis, I think the consensus is that Bitcoin is due to correct just a little bit further down. So I would say wait before you take a long just yet, because we haven't bottomed out by any stretch. Once more, hard to say just yet. Let's go ahead and double check and make sure we know where we're at. First of all, 160 is that upper area liquidation here locally. That was a lot of shorts that opened up there just above the local high. We can also see as well 145, starting to get some pile up of some late longs there. Liquidation long delta is no longer. We basically have more shorts than longs in here, effectively just telling us that shorts are now in control. They've been in control for some time, but they're now definitely in control, basically enforcing the fact that you shouldn't take a long, and if you're going to consider a position right now, a short would make more sense considering you're going to be going with the grain. I'm not proposing you want to short this coin just because I do think it's strong and will likely recover quickly, but once more, that's just something to kind of be mindful of. We have a ton of open interest at 146. So this is that area that we're seeing a lot of accumulation. Generally speaking, this is our last line of defense. We lose this level, we're probably going to continue down much lower. 146 has been that consistent number that we've seen here for this coin. Once more, you can kind of see 146 in this range. Also 150. That's just above the price. So people are averaging the most between 146 and 150 on this coin. So we're right there in that support level. Having said that, we got the 20-day SMA below, but we're below. We are below the 50 and the 200. And if we look at the the overall scenario here, it's not great. We are losing 50 on the RSI, even though we're still above our moving average and stochastic swinging down. There's a good chance we do continue a bit lower, but it's hard to say specifically at this point. You could even argue this like the beginning of a head and shoulders type of pattern. And I do think we're going to start seeing some bottoming out here soon. So if we get lucky and fortunate and see the 140 to 145 range, I may consider a long at that point, depending on how Bitcoin's behaving. Right now, Bitcoin is kind of working its way through a power of 3. So we're waiting for a bottom to be established here. But if you kind of look, we can see we had, a pretty obvious little fake out there. And now we're seeing that correction on the downside. It's a bummer because I missed my short by like $100 on Bitcoin. I was looking for 108.9 and 108.8 essentially was the highest candle there. But regardless of how you look at it, you don't cry over spilled milk. You look for better opportunities, right? And that's what we're here for. That's what we're looking at. The last thing we want to kind of identify, and this is going to be pretty straightforward, is just the Ichimoku cloud. You can see we're below the cloud. We've now essentially broken bearish, and what that basically just means, if we see the price come back up, hypothetically shorting at the 150, 152 range would make sense, obviously depending on how Bitcoin performs. The last thing to identify too is this algorithmic type of trading. If you kind of see this here, this is different than most other coins. Like Bitcoin, yeah, it's kind of selling off, chunking in and out, but when you look at this, you see these just consistent candles. This is algorithms, basically just taking profits on that manipulative wave up here, okay? So trapped a lot of late longs here, right? And then they're just securing profits on the way down. Eventually it'll hit its bottom when everyone has max pain, and it'll shoot back up again. But between now and then, we don't know where the bottom's at. So between now and whenever that may be, it's probably best just to avoid trading this coin for the moment and ensure that you kind of hesitate and wait. So if we get fortunate, we see another low here between 140 and 145, that may be a good consideration for a long. Between now and then, it just doesn't make a ton of sense to just FOMO in right now when we're expecting Bitcoin to continue lower. At least those are my thoughts. What are yours? Why don't you comment below, let me know. Join us over at CryptoCache.tech. Of course, if you want to become a better trader. Quick congrats to our community members here for some nice profits on our XRP long yesterday. And once more, we get tons of selling pressure here. It's pretty crazy, the market right now. Okay, so either way, we're looking pretty good here. Hope you have a good rest of your day. Thanks so much for your time. We'll see you in the next one. Take care.